It is the 20th of April, 2020, and I'm feeling pretty average. It is the 21st of April, 2020, and I'm feeling fine. It is the 22nd of April, 2020, and I'm actually feeling kind of good. It is the 23rd of April, 2020, and I'm feeling unmotivated. It is the 24th of April, 2020, and I'm feeling tired and sick. It is the 25th of April, 2020, and I'm feeling a bit better. It is the 26th of April, 2020, and I'm feeling conflicted. I just wanted to make an appearance, say how I've been handling all of this, what I've been thinking, just touch on a couple of things that I don't think anyone's really mentioned thus far that I've been thinking about. Layla, everybody else got to have one day and you get to have an entire week. That's not fair. Yeah, well, life sucks, doesn't it? That was aggressive, I'm sorry. Yesterday, I was supposed to get back from a family holiday to Phillip Island, and for the next 3 days, I was supposed to be at these full day rehearsals for the musical, but obviously that's not happening. It is the 23rd today, which means that it has been exactly 1 month since I started making these videos and since I had my last day of physical school, which is insane. So I'm one of those people, I'm like always sick, especially this time of year. From about as soon as autumn starts, you know, I get sick. I'm like almost immediately, like clockwork, and then I just don't stop being sick till I just don't stop being sick. At the start of this year, I redecorated my room for the first time since I was in like year 6. And I'm really glad I did that now, because I think if I was stuck in a room that was like still like pink walls and all of that, I would have lost my mind. I wake up at like 10:30, which I'd say is pretty impressive considering that most holidays I usually wake up at like 2 p.m. And then, you know, I get ready, have breakfast, like watch something or edit a video, which doesn't take that much time, but it feels like it's the only thing I do, so I don't really know what's up with that. Eat lunch, do the same thing again, eat dinner, go to sleep. Like I don't understand where all the time is going. And like all the days are just kind of blurring into one, which does happen in the holidays, but it was happening during term time as well. Just a weird shower thought that I had was, although obviously we're in self-isolation, it's probably one of the least isolating events that we've been through, because it's a pandemic, it's global, you know, literally everybody is going through the exact same thing right now, which is really crazy. And you know, the fact that this might be the time where you feel like you need a hug the most, it's not possible. So I've been really meaning to get around to doing all of the hundreds of assignments that I have to do, because I know I'm gonna get really stressed about it really fast, but I haven't been able to, so that's fun. So yeah, I'm sick right now, and I was sick like 2 weeks ago at the start of the holidays, and I was sick like during the last few weeks of physical school. But you know, I've spoken to a doctor, I've been to the doctors, not corona, and because this happens all the time, you know, it doesn't feel any different than it normally does, so right now I'm not really that concerned about that being anything more than just a cold. Also, I remember one thing that I was really adamant about was getting a more ergonomic desk chair, because the one I had before wasn't very good, and And I remember like I got one and I wasn't happy with it, so you know, I returned it, got another one, and I remember thinking at the time like, oh, I'm just being dramatic with this. But again, I'm glad I did that, because you know, I could not have predicted exactly how much time I would be spending at that desk in that chair now, like doing online school. So who's laughing now? Like, of course I'm missing my friends and all of that, but you know, it's not going to change me or anybody else just magically into an extrovert when that's just not who they are. You know, like, I don't think the hang on. I don't know if the frequency with which I see people is actually going to increase after this, but I do think that I will just see every outing and every time that I see my friends as more precious, and just appreciate that more than perhaps I did. I don't know, somehow it still feels that in a week when we go back to school, you know, we'll be going back to physical school, which isn't the case. So I guess that'll be a bit of a wake-up call. But yeah, this has been a good opportunity to bond with pets, hasn't it? I had been kind of feeling like I didn't hang out with them as much as I used to, and obviously now that's changed, so that's kind of nice. What I have been doing is I've been watching a lot of Netflix and Stan. And my thing has been I've been watching things that I've been meaning to watch for a while, but also ones that only have one season, so I can kind of watch the whole thing and feel like accomplished and watch like a lot of them, as opposed to like committing to something. Oh, and one other thing that I watched was, I've been meaning to watch this for the longest time, but on YouTube, A Very Potter Musical. So hilarious. Like, I cannot stress to you enough how funny I found that. And I'm so glad that I finally watched it. So that's good. But yeah. Soup, tea, obviously staying inside right now. For a while now, there has been this war on technology. And I'm not saying I disagree with it, but yeah, all those studies about how phones and computers are making us so much more antisocial, and that we don't talk to each other anymore, and we don't go outside, and we don't like see people. And then now, having a phone and having that be the only way that you can stay connected to people. I don't know, I guess I just see the irony in that. And again, I'm not saying I disagree with those things. I think, especially after this, we will, you know, see each other more and blah, 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 but just thought that was kind of funny. I haven't really been reaching out to people on Zoom or anything like that too much, like not that much at all. I was sitting on the floor because the dogs were on the couch, and they're gone now, but I'm gonna stay here. So anyway, yeah, I really haven't been reaching out to people on Zoom that much at all. You know, I figure if someone like really wants to speak with me, they can contact me, and that's fine, but you know, I don't really need to hear from people semi face-to-face to be like feel like I'm still friends with them or anything like that. Like, I'm fine with distance. My brain has been doing something kind of weird. It's just coming up with all of these scenarios of like how COVID-19 could have impacted someone. Like, you know, I'll just be minding my own business and my brain will be like, oh, what if you worked in a prison? Right? Because that's some pretty like essential work. And it's also the kind of environment where something like a virus, I imagine, could spread pretty quickly. And it'd be hard to maintain social distance. Or I'll be like, you know, what if you were just about to move countries and now you can't? What if you just quit your job and now you don't have any income? What if, you know, I don't know, all these random scenarios just keep like running through my mind. Which is weird. I don't know why, but it's happening. this is a really excellent learning opportunity to learn about yourself. I don't know if it's just me, but I always like think of like these like crazy scenarios where I'm like, oh, like I wonder how I would react if that happened to me. You know, if you're stuck on a desert island, or someone broke into your house while you were in there, like whatever. And like the thing is, you can think what you want. You might think that you'll be like super cool, calm and collected. You might think that you'd freak out, like whatever, but you really don't know how you're gonna react until something like that happens. And I think that this is one of those moments where maybe you thought you'd handle it better than you have been, or maybe you're pleasantly surprised by how well you're doing. And like whatever that is, that's fine. But it's just, I think it's important to know and interesting to learn, to have a greater understanding about yourself. All right, let's talk about online school, shall we? So at the start, I was really into it. I was having a really good time adjusting because pretty much all of my subjects, I was working on assignments. And I'm one of those people, I really need like dead silence to be able to get any work done. And obviously school's not like that most of the time. So having that peace and quiet to get work done was really good. But it just started to get really unhealthy really quickly. You know, and just hoping I get better in time for school. That would be great. But yeah. But like whenever I do talk to people, like I feel really good for a while, and then I don't know, it just kind of reminds me that I can't see them, you know, and it just kind of leaves me feeling a bit emptier than I did before. I don't know, I guess it's just one of those things where if you don't do it for a long time, you get used to that. But then as soon as you like get a little taste of it, you're like, oh, that's what I'm missing. I forgot. So that's interesting. The moment that it really started to sink in for me that this was a very real threat was I was in a musical and they postponed it. And I did kind of see it coming because I follow a bunch of like theatre meme pages. I'm a dork, sue me. And yeah, there's a lot of people, mainly in the US, who are talking about that their school shows had been cancelled. And I was like, oh, like I hope that doesn't happen. And they didn't cancel it, they postponed it, but yeah, and I had like brought it up with like my parents and friends and stuff, and they like kept reassuring me like, oh, they're not gonna do that. And then I got the message that they did postpone it. And I was like really upset about that. Maybe even more than I expected to be. I mean, I'm fine now, but yeah, at the time that was kind of a blow. So yeah, now it's gonna be 7 months later than it was supposed to be, and it's been pushed back to like a really inconvenient time. And you know, I had all like the rehearsals and show dates marked on my calendar and in my diary, and just anytime I see that I'm like but yeah, I mean, it's not like we could have put it on, like I obviously understand why they did it, that's not the issue, it just sucks. Also, I was not as reliant on my calendar or my diary, where I would write down all of my assessment dates and like plan everything that I was going to do. Like anyone who knows me in school knows that I would like always like keep like a very like extensive list of things to do in my diary and like work through them one by one, but I haven't been doing that, which means that like deadlines have snuck up on me. Also, just want to talk about these videos and why I started making them. It was actually my mum's idea. She always just has these like wacky ideas of things that I can do. Like she'll be like, oh, you should write a book about this. Oh, you should write a play about that. Or you should like whatever. And ever since I started doing media as a subject, it's been like, oh, you should make a video about this. And yeah, she brought this up when we found out that the schools were going to be closing. I was like, that's not the craziest idea you've ever had. It did actually take a bit of convincing from her and my dad to do it because I'm lazy, and also because I didn't think that anybody would be interested in being a part of it. So yeah, I'm super thankful that that wasn't the case. Another thing that's interesting is how much I think we all are going to appreciate content creators at times like this, because we're just at home absorbing so much content, whether that's like films, TV shows, YouTube. I think best case scenario coming out of this, coming out of self-isolation and, you know, the pandemic being largely over, is that we're all a lot more confident in who we are. We know who we are, and we're a lot more motivated and willing to do the things that we've always wanted to do. And I just feel like knowing who you are and your place in the world is really important and can lead to some really great things for everybody. So I get to spend more time, obviously, with my assessments, which is a good and a bad thing, because it's good, obviously, to have more time to perfect it and do all of that kind of thing. But it's, you know, it's not healthy too. Like, during online school, my entire world was limited to those 4 walls. Like, I literally would not leave them except for like meals. So yeah, I did decide to give it a go. I was just gonna make one kind of long one for however long I decided to do it, but after even getting like 3 videos from people, I realized like how long that would be, and I thought, hey, maybe it'd be easier to just do it as like a weekly thing. And I'm glad that I did that, because, you know, it has also enabled me to, you know, kind of group it into subsections of, you know, essential workers, people who live overseas, that kind of thing, which I think has been really interesting. I don't know about to you, but I found it interesting. Making these videos, now my whole like extended family or whatever thinks that I want to be like a filmmaker or whatever, which is just not the case. At this point, it's just something to do. Also, I think it's important that after this we know the kind of precautions that we need to have in place for another situation like this, about how we can handle it better next time, and we know which politicians have our best interests at heart, and, you know, the kind of changes that we need to make life better in the future. And like, obviously, heightened reliance on my computer. I felt like all I was doing was just like charging my computer and, you know, working on my computer. And so I made the first one, and I was actually really nervous about putting it out. I don't know why, but I just was. And then I did. And I'm really glad that I did do that. It's just interesting to see the environmental benefits of us all staying home. You know, for a while, people have been saying like, oh, you know, driving less or carpooling or whatever, you know, it's not going to make that much of a difference. But when we're all in our houses, you can see how quickly things start to go back. And lastly, the most important thing, I think, is that the world of work needs to change. Because for so long there has been this really toxic culture surrounding putting your job before your physical and mental health. And like, you can even see that reflected in school. Like, under the BSSS system, you know, you can only have so many unexplained absences, and it's not very many, and everything else you need a doctor's certificate, and you need to attend like 90% of your classes and all of that. And obviously I understand why they have that. It's important that you're, you know, getting a proper education and all of that, but at what cost, you know? And when people, in hospitality and in retail like have this idea that they still need to go into work because they really need the money or whatever, but they're sick and they come into contact with so many people and they can spread things very, very quickly. Also, this has proven just how many jobs can be taken online, when in the past we've been told that that's not an option. For single parents or people who like just had children or people with disabilities or whoever needs to be at home more, and being home would make their lives a lot easier. I think that this is a good opportunity to make changes to facilitate that as well. I think that would be the best case scenario coming out of this. It's also interesting how it's affected different subjects differently. But yeah, if you even watch a little bit, or if you do watch the whole thing and it just makes you feel a bit better for a second to see that we're all in this together, or even just provides a little bit of a distraction, because what else are we doing really at this point, then that's plenty for me. I wonder what's happened to the crime rates. Have they gone, you'd assume down, right? Or even criminals staying at home? Because you imagine you wouldn't want to rob anyone, because you'd be almost guaranteed that they're home. What about like murder and stuff? I don't know. Would it be easier to get away with murder now? Are the police busy? And it is sad if this is what it took for us to see the error of our ways. But it'd be even sadder if this happened and we just continued on as normal. But yeah, also hearing about how reports of domestic violence have gone up. For a long time, people have really valued extroversion. And, the thing you see in the media is like how to be more confident, how to make more friends and get out more and blah, blah, blah. And yes, that is important, but you know what I mean? That lifestyle. Being social is important, but that lifestyle is not for everybody all of the time, which is okay. And I feel like maybe after this, we can start to see the value of introversion a bit more and appreciate that everybody's different and we all have different needs. And you don't need to like put everybody into this one box. So I did it the first week, and then I wasn't sure if I wanted to keep going, but I did, and then I kept going again and again. I don't know how long this is gonna go on for, until self-isolation's kind of over, or just until I decide to stop, because I feel like we've said everything that we needed to say, or because I'm stressed or bored, I don't know. But yeah. Also, I read a fact that last month, March, was the first March that America hasn't had a school shooting since like 2002 or something like that. How crazy that what it took was literally not having a physical school to shoot. Editing the videos has been a really interesting experience for me, because hearing everyone's perspectives, like there's some overlap, but for the most part, just people have such like, I don't know, fascinating thoughts about everything that's going on, and it's just really interesting. I've said that so many times, but it's just, I find it so interesting to hear everybody's perspectives. And a lot of these are from people that I don't speak to regularly, that I wouldn't normally reach out to at all. And hearing them say what they want to say, it just makes me feel like I'm getting to know people a lot better. And sometimes editing it, this is going to sound so sad, but sometimes even editing it just makes me feel a little bit less alone. Like I'm having a very one-sided conversation with someone. I used to be a really big reader, and I guess I still am. But yeah, certainly a lot less than I used to be this year. And you know, I was like, oh, that'll be something that I can get back into, you know, what better time. But that hasn't really been the case. So that's interesting. And I think it is important to note that although the media is pushing this view that you need to take this time to pick up a new hobby, learn a new skill, accomplish something, like, if you just need this time to relax and like take a step back, that's okay too. When I started this, I wasn't exactly sure when I was going to stop. You know, I didn't have an end date written down or anything like that, but sometime this week, I think I just decided that it's probably time. At least for now. I think this might be the last one for a little bit. And it's not like I don't have ideas for what would happen after this. I would definitely want it to be kind of taken in a different direction, and I do have some ideas about what that would look like, but yeah, just for now. I don't think I am gonna have the time nor the headspace to kind of do any of it properly. Yeah, which isn't to say that I'm not going to do some more later. You know, maybe I'll come back if we know when the last week of isolation is, or maybe first week back at school or something like that. I'm not sure, but yeah, for now, that's it. Hi. Don't look at me like that. I just... It is the 25th of April. If it's loud, that's Archie, my dog. It is the 20th of April, 2020. Could you shut up? Archie, please shut up. This is so weird. Oh my god. I just... Oh my god, why can't I do this? No. No. Is that... Archie! I don't know what I wanted. I really can't remember what I was saying. But yeah, what was I saying? I don't know where I'm going with this. She's crazy. This is getting a little bit easier. Just a tad. Yeah. I'm so far away. This is so awkward. I can't believe that I've been asking people to do this. I'm so sorry.